endure 20 child.
It's red.
Sorry, carry on. Yeah. Iris, go on.
Her connection's very low. It's red.
Ah,
Want to read it, Jim?
Iris, you're
Isaac
fading.
and Rebecca
Ah,
endure
you're back.
20 childless years until their prayers are answered and Rebecca conceives. I am. She experiences. She experiences a difficult pregnancy as the children struggle inside her. God tells her that there are two nations in your womb and that the younger will prevail over the elder. Esau emerges first. Jacob is born clutching Esau's heel. Esau grows up as a wholesome man, a dweller in the tents. Rebecca loves Jacob. Returning exhausted and hungry from the hunt one day, Esau sells his birthright, his rights as the firstborn, to Jacob for a pot of red lentil stew.
You've gone to the next one, Iris.
No, she's not.
No,
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't heard about Rebecca loves Jacob and all that.
It's coming. It's coming.
I've just said Rebecca loves Jacob. Returning exhausted and hungry from the hunt one day, Esau sells his birthright, his rights as the firstborn, to Jacob for a pot of red lentil stew.
Right, okay.
In Gerar, in the land of the Philistines, Isaac presents Rebecca as his sister, out of fear that he will be killed by someone coveting her beauty. He farms the land, reopens the wells dug by his father Abraham, and digs a series of his own wells. Over the first two, there is strife with the Philistines, but the waters of the third well are enjoyed in tranquility.
1 sec. Hopefully this will work. Yes, right, go on.
I've still got the same that I had before. Oh no, it's coming up. Only I've got both at once at the moment. I think I might be. Oh, there we are. Esau marries 2 Hittite women. Isaac grows old and blind and expresses his desire to bless Esau before he dies. While Esau goes off to hunt for his father's favourite food, Rebecca dresses Jacob in Esau's clothes, covers his arms and neck with goat skins,
A similar dish. He sends Jacob to his father.
We lost you, Iris. Is it just me or has everyone lost Iris?
Lost her.
No, Iris's connection was bright red, so she's got some problem with it.
Okay.
I
Maybe
can't
I'll just
hear either.
Okay, we've lost you, Iris. I'll just finish it because we're never going to get past. Asa marries 2 Hittite women. Isaac grows old and blind and expresses his desire to bless Asa before he dies. Asa goes off to hunt for his father's favorite food. Oh, no, you're just wobbling, Iris. I don't know what's happening with your connection. Let me finish it. I'll finish it. So Rivka dresses Jacob in Esav's clothes, covers his arms and neck with goat skins, so he'll feel like his hairy brother, and prepares a similar dish and sends him to his father. Jacob receives his father's blessings for the dew of the heaven and the fat of the land, and to be master over his brother. When Esav returns and the deception is revealed, all Yitzhak can do for his weeping son is to predict that he will live by the sword. And when Jacob falters, the younger brother will forfeit his supremacy over the elder. Jacob leaves home for Haran to flee Esav's wrath and to find a wife in the family of his mother's brother Lavan. Esav marries the third wife, Machalat, daughter of Yishmael. So he marries his cousin. Okay, right. Right, so, okay, let's carry on. So what's happened here? Rivka was previously infertile, right? She gets pregnant. She's in terrible pain. So what does she do? Who would like to read source number 2?
Yeah, okay, but
Go
the
on.
children struggled in her womb, and she said, if so, why do I exist? She went to inquire of Hashem.
Right, what is my purpose? Lama Zanoichi. So she went to ask, and it says she went to the base medrash to ask the Rabbonim, it says in Rashi. And what was the answer she got? Who'd like to read? Jeff, would you like to read?
Yeah. Two nations, excuse me. Two nations are inside your womb. Two peoples are to part from you. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. Vivavi Yavod Tza'eh.
Right. So this is the crucial line. V'rav Yavod Sa'ir. We usually interpret as the younger one shall serve. Rav is the, we assume, is the big one, the older one, the greater one, and Sa'ir means a youngster. So Rav Ya'avod Sa'ir, we assume to mean the older will serve the younger, right? What happens? They're born, Esav is grasping Yaakov's heel. Sorry.
This is that Esau will
It's
be.
the other way round.
Yes, the other way around.
Yes,
Sorry.
The other way
the
round.
older will
Yaakov
serve
is
the
grasping.
younger.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, the older will serve the younger. Right? What happens? They're born. Right? Yaakov is holding Esav's heel. What does Rivka do, Rebecca? She remembers the prophecy. She's a religious lady. So she remembers the prophecy she received, and so she favors Jacob. Right? To the extent, of course, that eventually she ends up persuading him to cover himself in Esav's clothes and to take the blessing that Yitzchak intends for the older son.
Why didn't she wait for Hashem to sort this out rather than her doing it?
Or discuss it with
Deceiving everything.
or discuss it with her husband.
Yeah.
He presumably had the same prophecy, by the way. Let's see. What's the blessing that Yitzchak gives to Yaakov? Let's see. Anna, would you like to read number 4?
Nations serve you, may nations bow down to you. Be lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you.
Right, pretty explicit, yes?
Hmm.
So he says, Isaac says he thinks to Esau, but actually to Yaakov, may nations serve you and bow down to you. You will be lord over your brothers, and your mother's sons will bow down to you. Is that not what Rivka was told before the children were born, that the older will serve the younger? Right? All seems quite straightforward in theory, doesn't it? Yes?
Hmm.
Right. I mean, it's not going to be very popular, but it seems straightforward. What happens? Esau arrives. He finds out what happened, and he's genuinely anguished by it. Right? And his father gives him a blessing. And one of the blessings his father gives him is, I think we're back to you, Brenda, because I assume Lisa and Beryl, you don't have the... Lisa, have you got the screen?
No.
No.
She
So,
must have
Brenda, would you
gone.
like to read?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Iris.
By
We're
your
back to, sorry, back to Iris. Iris, gone.
By your sword you will live, and your brother you will serve. But when you break loose, you will throw off his yoke from about your neck.
This is interesting, isn't it? So you'll live by the sword and serve your brother, right? We have this elsewhere with Ishmael. It says you'll be a wild man, and here now Esau is told you'll live by the sword. So to be fair, when they did live by the sword, it's God's fault. So the older is not going to serve the younger in perpetuity. It says when you break loose, you will throw off his yoke. That's interesting,
Yes.
right? And then what happens years later in Vayishlach, right? Jacob sends, if you recall, he splits his camp into 2, right? And he sends gifts. Why? Because he's fearful that Esau will kill him. Right?
Yeah.
He bows down to him 7 times and calls him my lord, and he refers to himself as your servant. So the roles are reversed. Why doesn't Yaakov just say, God said, you're going to bow down to me? It
Well,
doesn't
that's
make
going to
Because
sense.
rile
he's
him up
already
even more,
broken
isn't it?
loose. Because he's
How?
already broken loose.
Right. So this is becoming fulfilled. So Rivka's prophecy is the older one will serve the younger, Varavia Vodsair. And Yitzchak's prophecy is, or blessing is, you'll live by the sword and serve your brother, but there'll come a time you break loose, and then you'll throw off his yoke. And we find at least certainly that's the fear that Yaakov has. He doesn't just say, well, I have a fallback position, which is God said, my brother's going to serve me. No, we seem to have the opposite. So what's going on here? And let's just go back a minute. Well, let's look at two things. We have an interesting phrase here elsewhere in the book of Exodus. Brenda, would you like to read?
Then I will take my hand away from you, will see my back, and my face must not be seen. Oh, that's when they put moisture in the cleft of the rock.
Yes. So God says to him, I'll show you my back. It says it showed him the knot of his tefillin, and he was wearing a talus like a chazan, but I won't show you my face. Right? Obviously, it's all like allegorical. God doesn't really have a back. What does this mean? So our rabbis tell us that it means you'll see my back, but you won't see my face, meaning you'll look at things with hindsight. You'll see my back, you'll see the past, and it will become clearer to you, but you won't see my face, meaning the present won't always be apparent at the time. So it's very easy to look back and interpret things. Right? We can all do that. It's much harder to interpret things in the present. And God is saying you won't always be able to do that. There'll be times that you can't interpret things in the present. Very interesting. Very interesting. So
yes,
that's what's happening here. Rivka is told the younger one will serve the older. Sorry, the older one will serve the younger. But then we see that's not always the case. So what appears at first glance, once we live through history and we see that there's a time that at least certainly Yaakov is fearful that it may end up being the other way around. Why is that? How does that square with the prophecy? There's a few
because God said that when Esau broke loose from his brother, then he would throw off his brother's yoke. He wouldn't be beholden to his brother anymore.
Agreed. But then what does it mean when Rivka says the Rabbi Avad Sa'ir, that the older one will serve the younger? So there's a few thoughts on this. Okay. The most obvious one is, because this is the key, this is why she engineers the deception. So there's a few thoughts. Number one, God also says to Adam, your offspring will be numerous, right? Like the stars in the sky and whatever, yeah? Right? And God also says, I promise you this land. And we don't get it straight away.
No.
So it could be there's not a contradiction. Rivka gets a prophecy that says that that there will come a time when there will be a time when the older one serves the younger, but not always. There'll be a time when that's the case. That's one possibility. Another possibility, which is quite interesting, is as follows. Let's go back to the actual phrase. So here's another. Sorry, before we do that, there could be an ambiguity.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Sorry.
That's all right. With all the problems today, I was just wondering.
Normally you'd have the word et, v'rav yavod et hatzayim. We don't have the word et. Usually et defines an object. So we don't have the word et. So it's a little bit fuzzy. Here is a verse from the book of Eov of Job. And it says as follows, chapter 14, verse 19. Avonim shochaku mayim. And then it carries on. So it says, Avonim is stones, shochaku mayim, seems to mean stones are worn away by water. Stones, comma, shochak is to wear away. So avanim, stones, shochaku mayim, water wears them away. But it could also mean that stones wear away water. I don't know what that means exactly, but it could also mean that. It's a bit ambiguous. Okay.
It would be ambiguous if stones could wear away water,
Correct. So
but
they can't.
in the
Right.
as water can't be worn away by stones, it is not ambiguous.
Right.
But
Water
But the
maybe
can
literal
could it
wear
mean
away.
that water just flows over a stone?
right.
Water goes down
So
enough
the point
times,
is the
makes a
literal
rat in
meaning
the stone, doesn't it?
the literal meaning would be avonim stones, shohaku, wear away mayim water. So
Stones.
clearly it doesn't mean that. Clearly it means
Stones.
stones which water wears away.
Hmm.
So we have a similar thing here. The Rav Yavod Sa'ir, I've got it in big letters here. Right? We assume it means the older, the greater, will serve avodah like an eved, right? The younger, but you could put a comma in Varav, the older one, Yavod Sa'ir, will be served by the younger one. It's actually ambiguous. So it actually works quite interestingly to say that there'll be times when one prevails and there'll be times when the other prevails. It's not always going to be that the older will always serve the younger. We see that through history, right? There's times that we have been subjugated by Rome, by other. Rome is said to be Edom, Esav, yeah? So it actually, the text lends itself to ambiguity. The Rav Yavod Sa'ir. So if I say, it doesn't work in English, because in English you'd say the younger one will serve the elder, or the elder will serve. But in Hebrew, it's the words are richer. So the Rav, the greater one, Yavod just means he will serve, Sa'ir, the younger one. So you could either read it as the greater one will serve the younger one, or the greater one, comma, the younger one will serve, depending how you render it. It doesn't really work in English, but it works in Hebrew. So that's thought number one. It's a bit ambiguous. Secondly, what does Rav actually mean? It doesn't say the older. The older would be the Bechor, the firstborn. Rav simply means a great one or a numerous one, right? Or a multitude. So it's the greater one. Or it could be even a chief. A Rav Aluf is a commander in modern Hebrew. So it could actually mean the chief will be served by the younger one. So which one's which? Who's more numerous? It's ambiguous. And thirdly, actually, for those who are familiar with it, I don't know if anyone is, but the musical notation, if you look below the resh of Varav, you've got a musical note there. If you look below the vase, you've got a musical note. And you look below the ayin, you've got a musical note. Normally, if you were learning and reading the Torah, this would be a phrase, and you would read it as follows. Varav Yavod Sa'ir, and it's one phrase. Now, interesting, it doesn't actually read like that. The way the musical notation is there's a comma after the Rav. So it goes like this. The Rav, comma, Yavod Sa'ir. So the musical notation actually lends itself to there being a comma. There's a comma there, you're saying the older one, the younger one will serve. Let's have a look at another
Musical
thing.
notation is the diagonal dash line,
Yes,
is it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. In this instance, yeah. They're not very good actually. They should really be slightly more curved, but yeah, it serves our
Yeah.
purposes here. So the musical notation, if you were writing out as a piece of music, would be two phrases. V'rav, phrase number one. Yavod Sa'ir.
Hmm.
Normally, when we sing the Shema, we sing V'hayu l'totafos b'nei necha. That's that phrase. V'hayu l'totafos b'nei necha. This starts halfway through that phrase. V'rav v'tada Yavod Sa'ir. It's like putting a pause in a phrase. And the older
Yeah.
one, the younger one will serve. In fact, even in English, the older one, the younger one will serve. Who's serving who? The older one, the younger one will serve. It's bad English, but up with this I will not put. Right? The older one, the younger one will serve.
Yeah, the older
Who-
will serve the younger.
Is it? Or the older one, the younger one will serve? The older one, the younger one
Depends
will
where you
serve.
put
Right,
put the
depends how you.
comma.
Yeah, the comma.
Right, it's the
Yeah.
comma or the stress. I threw my mother out of the window a towel. Yes, right. This is the pen of my aunt. No, that's correct. But yes, I threw my mother out of the window a towel. Right, where you put the comma or the stress. So there's room for ambiguity. Here's another instance where there's some ambiguity around this. Let's have a look at Bereshit chapter 38. I think we're back to Jeff. Would you like to read? This is
Yeah.
about Tamar when she gives birth to twins.
Mm.
And read this, and when you finish reading this, tell me who's the older one.
When the time came for her to give birth, there were twins in her womb. As she was in labour, one child put out her hand. So the midwife took a crimson thread and tied it to his wrist, saying, "This one came out first." But he pulled his hand back, and then his brother came out. She said, "How you have burst through." So he was named Peretz. Then his brother came out with the crimson thread on his wrist. He was named Zerach. Now you want
Right. So who's older? Right.
Sarah.
the one that
The one without
the one without the thread.
Yes.
You're in a race, and what the guy at the front throws his hat across the line, basically. Who's the winner? Who came out first? You've got no idea. She put a thread on, but then the wrist disappeared. So who technically came out first, right? So it's not quite the same with Esav and Yaakov. Yaakov was grabbing his heel, but Esav still came out first. But there's a
Yeah.
certain ambiguity.
Very much so.
I don't think so, because Zerach actually came out first. Just because Peret's hand came out first and then went back again doesn't mean he came out first. It was only his hand, not himself.
No, it wasn't
Right.
parents had the womb
So imagine the
Zerach
scenario.
Was
Imagine
the one who came out first himself.
Right. Imagine the scenario. William and Harry are twins, right? And William came out first, but Harry stuck his hand out at the same time. And Charles dies, right? And William is crowned king. And Meghan says, "One second, my husband's hand came out first. He's the older twin." It's going to be a massive lawsuit, a constitutional crisis, isn't it? Right? So it could be deeply significant. Imagine there's a £10 million estate at stake, and it's been promised the older son, right? So these are both legal and halachic questions. I don't know the answer. I know that in terms of for a baby to be born, halachically they have to fully emerge from the womb. Otherwise, they're not born.
What I thought. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
But
let me ask you a
therefore,
question. If a
Zerach
child,
is the
sometimes
older.
sometimes the head appears and it takes hours and hours of labor to push the rest of the baby out, right? Yeah, can happen.
But the
Right?
head doesn't go back and let another one
No,
out
it doesn't.
first,
You're right.
does it?
But my question to you would be is, if that hours of labor pass through in midnight, or in Jewish terms sunset, what day is the baby born? They born when the head comes out or when the rest of the body comes out? I'm imagining when they fully emerge. That's when they become a viable being. So you can see the problem. So the point of this story is it's also a bit ambiguous. We assume that Zerach was the older one. Peretz, in fact, is the one that he's the ancestor of King David, isn't he? So he's the one that emerges as the strong leader, actually, as it happens.
This is the one that came out.
So maybe the answer is you don't know until later on. You don't always know straight away. When God is talking about Moses, he uses an interesting phrase. I'll just read this. He says, when Aaron and Miriam are slagging off Moshe, Hashem says, "How can you be so rude about Moshe? Do you know who you're talking about?" He says, "I speak to him face to face, mouth to mouth. I appear to him clearly, not in chidot."
Not in riddles,
Which is translated as riddles. Utamunas Hashem Yabit, he sees the like of, sorry, there's an M missing of Hashem, not Hashi, Hashem. Madua lo yireisem, how could you not be fearful? To speak against my servant Moshe. So what are chidos? Clearly there's something that's not clear. Right? So God says, I don't speak to Moshe in riddles, I speak to him in plain, not English, but plain language. So other times when you have a prophecy or something, sometimes it's a bit cryptic, right? It's a riddle, it's cryptic. So maybe this is a bit cryptic. It's a bit cryptic. But Rav Yavot Sayeh, there'll come a time, they're both true. Alternatively, here's another way of looking at it. Anna, would you like to read Rabbi Sachs?
Yeah. The future is never as straightforward as we are led to believe. Abraham is promised many children, but is 100 years old before Isaac is born. The patriarchs are promised a land, but do not acquire it in their lifetimes. The Jewish journey, though it has a destination, is long and has many digressions and setbacks. Will Jacob serve or be served? We do not know. Only after a long, enigmatic struggle, alone at night, does Jacob receive the name Israel, meaning he who struggles with God and with men and prevails. The most important message of this text is both literary and theological. The future affects our understanding of the past. We are part of a story whose last chapter has not yet been written. That rests with us as it rested with Jacob.
Oh, he was just wonderful, wasn't he, Rabbi
Yeah,
Sachs?
we just had his fifth yacht type actually. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
First of all, it could be ambiguous, as we've said. Secondly, even if it's not ambiguous, we have plenty of statements, like when God promised us the land, right? Fat lot of good that's done. It's led to decades, centuries of conflict. So just because you're promised something and it's prophesied doesn't always come easy either. So the truth is, even if Esav is going to serve Yaakov, it's not a golden ticket to peace and tranquility. So it's in our hands. Even when we're given a promise by God, it still often takes time to materialize. So it could be that Rivka was right. The older one will serve the younger, but it'll come at certain times, maybe after a long struggle. It's not something you click your fingers and it happens, right? You're going to be numerous like the stars in the sky. Click your fingers, suddenly you have millions of grandchildren, right? You're going to inherit the land of Israel. Oh, that's it. Walk straight in, right? It doesn't work that way. So even when we have that guarantee, it doesn't work always instantly. But secondly, often things are ambiguous, and sometimes it's only later on when we look back that we understand. So I don't know if Rivka looked back and thought to herself, maybe I was wrong. Maybe sometimes Esav will be the dominant one. And I just assumed that the prophecy meant Rav Yavod Sayeh, but actually it's ambiguous. And if it's ambiguous, it doesn't really help you that much at all. Because that's probably the story of most families. There'll be times when a particular child is more dominant. But the ambiguity is there, and even if the ambiguity is not there, it's still in our hands to channel the blessings and make sure they happen. It's not a free pass. We never get a free pass, right? We're promised long life if we honor our parents. Okay, so if you honor your parents, you've got more chance of a blessing of long life. Again, you still have to channel that blessing. It's not guaranteed. It doesn't always happen. We're promised to inherit the land of Israel. Abraham's promised that his children will be numerous like the stars, and that doesn't happen for several generations. Inheriting land of Israel, depending which view you follow, doesn't happen till times of Joshua or till 1948, whichever way you look at it. So number one, it's ambiguous, and number two, even if it's not ambiguous, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to be a smooth ride. And the crucial point, Rabbi Sachs says, is it's in our hands, all these things. So maybe coming back to the question why Rivka didn't leave it to Hashem, which Brenda asked. So maybe the sentiment was correct, that you have to act. You don't just wait for things to happen. It's called hishtadlus in Hebrew. The sentiment was correct. Whether the deception could have been done differently, I don't know. But the sentiment was correct, that you have to act to make things happen, to channel those blessings. Right? God promised us the land of Israel, so therefore we're going to sit in Britain until one day somehow we inherit the land of Israel. No, they had to go and actually fight wars in the times of Joshua and even today. So there is this concept that we have to do something about it. But we know that God's blessings will be with us when we do that. Right. Stop
Thank you.
sharing that. Stop sharing. Okay. Iris, your connection improved. I don't know what happened, but it improved.
I
as you
don't
went.
know.
Maybe it was warming up.
Perhaps. It
See him now.
has its own little way